Good morning. Behind me is the church's banner displaying the symbol of our community. For those of you who didn't know we had a banner or who haven't seen it in a while, this banner is hung each year on the wall along with other churches' banners during the UU General Assembly. It's also joyfully carried in the banner parade by youth and by the young at heart. And we often bring it with us out into the community. Like all UU churches, we embrace the symbol of the flaming chalice, the flame, and the cup. However, this symbol of our community also includes the mythical phoenix, the bird which is reborn from its own ashes. It signifies a journey through fire or adversity and symbolizes strength and renewal. And we embrace this symbol because of the fire which 31 years ago burned our church building to the ground, and especially because of our community's powerful coming together to rebuild from those ashes. Not so long ago, when we were in the process of formulating our current mission, we interviewed many members of the church and asked them, looking back, what has MLUC done that has made you most proud? The most common answer from people who'd been here for years was our response to the fire. After that terrible event, we held services in St. David's Church. We had staff offices in a trailer in the parking lot, and the many board and committee meetings needed to start the rebuilding, as well as all the activities in the middle of the week that made MLUC so vital, were conducted in members' homes. And it would be 2.5 years before the first service was held in the new building. In those interviews 8 years ago, a couple of people actually said, somewhat wistfully, we could use another fire. We all knew they were really speaking of how the congregation came together to rebuild and how that knit us together as a community. We could use another fire. Well, we are having one right now. This virus has been burning through our entire world, filling us with fear, anxiety, and uncertainty. It's isolated us from each other. For a year, we've not been together, and many of us have not seen our children, our parents, or our siblings in that time. It's not hyperbole to say that the virus is attacking our community at its roots. For the past year, we have become a virtual church. On Sundays, we worship on YouTube. For the rest of the week, we meet on Zoom. We gather in cyberspace 7 days a week from 6 a.m. for early morning meditation until late in the evening for both board meetings and game nights, in groups of 2 or 3 right up to over 100 at a time. We talk and we listen, we work, we play, we welcome new members and mourn the loss of loved ones. We share our joys and our fears. And of course, we worship together. For a time, we have transcended physical gathering. Recently, I spoke to some of you via Zoom, of course, about what church has been like this past year. I heard a lot of stories, and I'd like you to hear directly from people about their experiences. So I've collected a few short clips from those conversations. Please watch.
Primarily, I've been connected on Sunday. It's been good. I've enjoyed the services and especially the time afterwards where we get to talk with people. So it's been great.
I go to services, every Sunday, actually. I don't think we've missed any. And just look at the service we had with Romania, with Transylvania last week. The whole service was wonderful.
It was.
Now, I definitely want to sign up for the next trip.
Regularly, I do watch Sundays with a watch group. They're a small group, not part of the elite men's breakfast group, but I do hear about them a lot. So I'd like to acknowledge them for the good work they're doing. I do drop in on Dawn Star's discussion groups and her watch parties.
I miss worship together. And I don't have the same feeling when I'm just watching it, on my computer. It's just not the same experience for me. So, and particularly I miss the music and I miss the singing. But so many of us really do like to sing, and like to sing that kind of music, which gives you a certain feeling. And it's just so much part of that worship experience for me. So I miss it.
Yeah, the pandemic has limited us, yet our outreach is still there. And I see that even like with the IHN, because we still can make impacts.
After my truck accident in Maine, I got so many notes and cards and calls that my family said, "What's going on? It's not your birthday. What is this all about?" And I said, "It's the community of my heart that's been responding to what they've heard."
Couldn't wait until everything's open again and we're all live again. And I do miss that. I really, really find as the months go on, I am missing that personal contact. But at the same time, I like that I've saved so much on gas. I don't have to drive at night. I mean, there are all kinds of good things. I guess one of the bad things is you're always available for meetings. You can't get away. There's no escape. I'm not a very technological person, but you gave us enough of a comfort zone that I felt comfortable moving into the Zoom era and operating that way. And Mary's been wonderful. The staff, all the staff has been wonderful.
With my starting on the worship associate committee was pre-pandemic. And it was like, oh yeah, I can do that. Yeah, stand in the pulpit, do a reading, and that's no problem. And then all of a sudden, it's like church is closed. We're going to have to record, and we Zoom, and we do what? And then summer came with having the different guest ministers, and then Neil announces he's leaving. So it's just been an interesting year. I mean,
I'm in caregivers support with Anne. Yeah, it's a good group of women. Anne is phenomenal. When Jan left, I thought, how the heck are we ever going to find anybody? But we did, and Anne is fantastic.
And then Anne sent us all a notice that Surrey Services was giving this workshop, and I signed up for it. 6 weeks, 2 hours a week. It has been wonderful.
Is the parish nurse, Ann Bear Clark, took over in a pandemic. She jumped right in, and I've got benefit from the caregivers group. After meeting with us as a group, she follows up individually. She was able to provide me with a 2-day-a-week support person so that I could get out, regroup, and it has been terrific.
I'm on the worship committee, and it has been wonderful. We had to learn how to be on screen as well as do all the other work that goes into the job. But we've had a great time. It's a wonderful committee. That has been my main connection over the year.
What has been really helpful about being connected to the church in the past year has been our small group sessions, simply because George and I are in the same one. So pretty much every other Wednesday night, we have a date with a group of people, and we know the conversation isn't going to be forced. And to have a conversation that is unexpected, that now after 2 years with this group, there's just a level of trust and comfort and ease, and it just makes these gentle explorations invigorating. And I need to say that because I'm on Zoom all day, and as much as I like it, Wednesday night rolls around, I have to really gird myself because I'm tired. I'm zoomed out tired. But once we're in it, I'm like, oh my God, of course. And even when it's a topic that we're all kind of a little sketchy about, it's always first about the connection.
The small group ministry, I think, for all of us has been the continuing thread for me. It's a highlight of the week as we all share our lives. It does make a big difference all the time, but especially now.
Said small group, which has been really good because small group has nothing to do with work, and I can complain and whine and they have to listen to me. And but they complain and whine back, and I listen to them. I have great respect and admiration for the people in the small group. I've gotten to know them in a way that I don't think I would have otherwise. But I do feel it's like a safe space. It's like this little room that's off to the side. We've had some very interesting and thoughtful discussions about things, but I think that there's been a lot of support from each other. And sometimes the most seemingly innocuous discussions will bring out great emotional depth from people. So I valued that a great deal.
The best thing that I have going for MLUC now is our group that meets every Tuesday morning. It's marvelous. We have some very heavy discussions. It's wonderful. And we become very close as human beings with this thing because it's real. And we all have problems. And as human beings, we need each other. We need each other.
I've been in a small group almost as long, and I really enjoy it. It's an opportunity to think about things and talk with like-minded people. And of course, it's a supportive group. When people have a problem of one sort or another, that's when, and you see the value of the church as community to support people at times when they need it.
I really appreciate church. I'm grateful for MLUC.
You know, bottom line is I'm happy, and I think the church has helped me a lot. I get spiritual uplift on Sunday mornings and feel I get a little help in remembering the ways that I want to be living my life.
It just, there is so much compassion and caring. I don't know what I would have done without, but it was like this grounding thing that I look forward to: the Sunday, the service, the meditation, the yoga, the people, seeing people, the music. Oh, wonderful. In some ways, it's made me value the church more.
I just also want to say that I'm really grateful for the effort that the church has put forth to keep us connected. It's made a huge difference for me, really. I think we'll benefit by it as a community in the long run.
I don't know how I could have continued to be positive, grounded, or committed to what is most important in my life without the community of my heart, which is Mainline Unitarian Church. And it's my personal belief that we will come out of this stronger, even stronger, because we were all in this together.
Susan Frederick Gray said in the reading earlier, "It's easy to hold up a light and declare that everyone is welcome. It's harder to build a place where everyone is actually at home." Now, we did hold up a light, and we made it as bright as we could and welcomed everyone to Zoom. We learned that Zoom is not a place where everyone is actually at home. Hardly anyone feels at home there. But we've also learned that not everyone was comfortably at home the way we were before. There are people who are participating in church more now than before, because the quantity and the quality of what's available online is so much greater than before, and because obstacles like driving at night, bad weather, distance have been removed. This past year, people have often asked me, when are we coming back to church? And I don't answer that question. Instead, I encourage people to ask, how will we come back? And what will we come back to? There's not going to be a day when we transition directly from where we are now to suddenly having over 200 people in the main meeting room worshiping and singing together. It's not going to happen like that. Instead, we will be rebuilding our reconnection with each other and our church building a step at a time. And there'll be many steps between now and the days we all worship together in the main meeting room. There'll be lots of choices, lots of decisions, lots of opportunities to be together safely. We'll always offer virtual worship and virtual meetings. There's no going back to the 20th century. But along the way to a return to full in-person worship, perhaps we'll watch online worship in small physical groups. Perhaps we can host some of those groups in the church's building. Perhaps we'll worship outside, or worship online and hold coffee hour outside. Thanks to the promise that by summer, most adults will have had the opportunity to be vaccinated, I'm optimistic there'll be lots of great opportunities for being together. And I also know that some adults and all children will likely remain unvaccinated this summer. We're certainly not going to have worship services where families with children are not welcome. But there are many possibilities for navigating the CDC's red, orange, yellow, blue pandemic ratings, which will allow us to welcome everyone, not just to worship, but to all the ways we work together and enjoy each other's company. We are limited only by our imagination. Now, it has also been a year since we ran our spring stewardship campaign on the internet without our celebration lunch, without silly songs, without a bounce house for kids, and in the uncertainty of the moment, without any idea what our future would hold, without knowing we would still be restricted by a pandemic a year later, without knowing that some of us would be unemployed for a year. It was not an easy time for us to make financial pledges to support our church community. Nevertheless, your generosity made our successful response to the pandemic possible. This month, we are again conducting our annual stewardship campaign virtually. Many of us still face an uncertain future, but I hope that many of you, like me, are facing it with renewed optimism and hope for what comes next. Now, for those of you who've enjoyed a relatively stable year financially, I am going to ask you again, please share your good fortune with your spiritual home and pledge generously. But if you're still uncertain about your financial condition, especially about your job and your future income, we don't want to add to your financial anxiety. Please pledge what you can. And if what you can pledge this year is less than before, that's fine. If what you can pledge this year is $10 a month, pledge that. If it's $1 a month, pledge that. But please don't let your anxiety outstrip your generosity completely. Please don't leave your pledge form completely blank. Your pledge at this time of year of any amount, like your weekly contribution to the offering, reminds us of our shared commitment to this community and its future. Pledging will make you feel better. To make your pledge, you don't need to wait for the church to send you a pledge card. You can go online, of course, to the church's website at mluc.org and click on the pledge campaign box. Look for the church's banner. There's a simple form to fill out, links to answers to questions you might have, though, of course, you can always contact me with any questions. Beginning this summer, we're going to have an experienced interim minister to partner with, and by embracing our shared values of inclusion, imagination, and generosity, we can aspire to rebuild our church community after this pandemic fire into one where everyone can feel at home. Let's close our service today by singing together hymn number 1017, We Are Building a New Way.